PlayStation. The single greatest mistake Nintendo and Sega ever made, and my personal favorite system to boot, with many, many good games, and it helps in my case that I kept finding them like clockwork. I'm not making much of an intro here because if you notice this video's runtime, we're gonna be here a while. A whopping 65 games are about to be shown, in addition to discussing the top 5 targets I'm hunting for the PlayStation this year. I speak no more. Let's go. Ape Escape. This game is pretty interesting by design as it demands a DualShock controller as most of the controls use the analog sticks. It's a pretty unique concept. Open it up, there is the game disc and the manual, both are alright. This copy isn't in the best of shape as it looks like it's a former GameStop copy, but it is what it is. Soul Blade. This game is the precursor to what would become Soul Calibur. As a result, I don't think it needs much explanation as a well-known fighting series. Open this up, there is the game disc which looks excellent, the manual is also excellent. An overall excellent looking copy of a very good fighting game. Xevious 3D/G+. This is a compilation disc consisting of 4 Xevious games. The original, Super Xevious, Xevious Arrangement, and the then recent Xevious 3D/G. All good games in their own right. Open this up, there is the game disc, there is the manual, both are in great shape. An overall good looking copy of a pretty good compilation. Crash Bandicoot. As of this video's upload date, this is the most recent addition to my game collection. This game needs no explanation. Crash was the face of the original PlayStation, though getting a black label copy of the first game is quite tough to find, with copies being around $50 to $60 as I'm recording this, a far higher mark than most of his other games. Open this thing up. There is the game disc, there is the manual, both are in pretty good shape. A really good game, and I have completed it 100%, which is no easy task and quite an accomplishment to be honest. Crash Bandicoot 2. You may notice this copy looks a little strange. That's because this copy has a hologram which some black label copies of Crash 2 have. Open this thing up, there is the game disc, the manual looks okay, and just to prove a point, I'll just pull this out. And as you can see, separate the hologram and the manual itself looks fine. Other than that, it's Crash Bandicoot. I don't think I need to explain much, other than I did beat this game 100% like the first game. Crash Bandicoot Warped. Same situation as Crash 2. Some copies have a hologram for their black label release, and this one is kind of showing it. I'll go ahead and open it up here. There is the game disc, the manual itself looks okay, and this game was completed to 105%, which is a thing in this game. Spyro Ura the Dragon. I used to have the first 2 Spyro games on PlayStation, but I had to trade them away eventually due to condition issues. In addition, this game also has a hologram like Crash 2 and Warp do, but I have yet to see it and personally would like to have it because it looks pretty cool. Just go ahead and open this up. There is the game disc and the manual. It is what it is. It's not going to be that hard to get the other 2 Spyro games back, so I'll get them eventually. Heart of Darkness. The first multi-disc PlayStation game I'm showing. This is a pretty good cinematic platformer that's unfortunately a bit short despite it being 2 discs, though that's probably excused because of how many animations are actually in the game. Open this thing up, there's disc 1, the manual, and right under this manual, first off there's actually the registration card as you can see, but behind that is the not often seen 3D glasses, which unfortunately only work for one scene at the end of the game, much to my disappointment when I finished this game. And hit this back here for disc 2, and yeah, that's about it. A pretty decent platformer from the same group that made Another World. Gekio Shooting King. This is a vertical shoot 'em up that's more well known as Shi and Ryu for the Japanese Sega Saturn, but with a few extra modes to make the game a bit more interesting. I mostly know it for its comical mode, which replaces all the destruction with laugh tracks, so that's pretty funny. Anyway, open this up, there is the disc, which looks excellent, the manual, which also looks excellent, and if you can't find the Japanese Sega Saturn release, this one's pretty good, especially with the extra modes. Star Ocean, The Second Story. It was quite nice to see this game get re-released on the Nintendo Switch as a Second Story R, but I've got the first game, and that's really all I concern myself with. There is disc 1 in its nice foil form, the manual, and right behind that is disc 2. A pretty good game that really deserved a remake, and I'm happy to see that happen. Guardians Crusade. Despite taking a long time to find this game, I haven't played it very much, though it does have the excuse of being fairly recent in my collection. I've had other priorities that have pushed it to the side. That's all I've got going for it. There is the embarrassingly pink disc, the manual's alright, and unfortunately that's really all I've got to say about it. I'll give it some time later on. Wild Arms. At one point I had some interest in the Wild Arms series, yet this ended up becoming the only game I'd ever play. A bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Open this sucker up for its 69-page manual. Yes, really, it is 69 pages, and the reason why this is in a multi-disc case, and the game disc. It's a pretty good game for what it is, though I did get Alter Code F, and it's a much better experience than the first game. Beyond the Beyond. The only thing really notable about this game is that it's the first Eastern RPG to come to North America, and it's a divisive one to boot for several reasons. Go ahead and open it up. I've got a fairly rough manual. You can kind of see the outline right at the spine. It's kind of worn there, but it's not completely torn, which is good. Plus the red card's there as well. There is the game disc, and that's about it for this one. I thought about playing the game for the channel, but it'll be a little while before I even think of doing so. Final Fantasy Origins. A pretty good looking copy of this game, though I never really played it much since by the time I got this, I already had Dawn of Souls on the Game Boy Advance and later got the PSP games, making this one kinda moot to actually play. Still, looks pretty clean, with the game disc being like that. The manual is in excellent shape and includes the registration card, and overall, largely just a filler piece for the entire Final Fantasy line. Final Fantasy Chronicles. Put simply, a compilation of Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger, two Super Nintendo games that just got ported onto PlayStation discs. Open this up, there's Final Fantasy IV, there is the manual, which is in pretty good shape, and right behind that is the Chrono Trigger disc. Not much else really needs to be said. Two really good Super Nintendo games that got PlayStation ports. This also happens to be my first game in the video that has a strategy guide, which is in pretty good shape. The spine has no real damage whatsoever, though it is kind of weird because all you really have to do is just flip it, and there's Final Fantasy IV. Pages themselves are in pretty good shape all across the board, and overall, it's a fairly clean-looking guide, minus some sticker residue up on the Final Fantasy IV section, but otherwise, a good guide. I do have the Final Fantasy Anthology strategy guide as well, but sadly, I don't have the game because it was degrading a bit, and I had to sell it off a couple years ago. So we'll have to move on to Final Fantasy VII. No words or explanation necessary, though it is one of just two games in my collection that is a 3-disc game. I've got many that take 2, I've got many that take 4, but only 2 are 3-discers, and this is one of them. Open it up, there's disc 1 in the manual, which has a noticeable fold right here, and that's really the only flaw with the manual. Open the back side, there's disc 2 and disc 3. And unfortunately, this is not a misprint. This is the corrected version, but I don't think it matters at this point. Final Fantasy VIII. Speaking of 4-disc games, here's the first one I'm showing, and a game that likewise doesn't need an explanation either. Open this thing up, there's disc 1, there's the instruction manual, right behind that is disc 2, which looks pretty good. Open the back side, and you've got the Brady Games mini walkthrough, which bizarrely has the registration card, yet the actual instruction manual doesn't. Real strange. Behind that's disc 3, and disc 4 right beside it. A pretty good looking copy overall, and speaking of Brady Games, I managed to have the guy with that too. Here is the strategy guide, which doesn't look as good as Final Fantasy Chronicles, but does actually have the tattoos. There's some spine damage up top, but that's really the only serious fault apart from some stuff right up here. Pages all look good, and speaking of those tattoos, there they are, right in full. Sadly, no Final Fantasy IX or Tactics, as unfortunately I had to sell them as well due to condition problems, so we'll be moving on to the next bunch. Chocobo's Dungeon 2. It's weird how the second game manages to get out of Japan, yet the first game remains exclusive to it. It's not the first time that's happened, I can think of several other cases, yet it always remains bizarre to me when it happens. Anyway, open this up, there is the game disc, the manual has no spyware whatsoever and does have the registration card, and is a very clean copy overall. A complete copy of this game runs around $75 as of recording time. It is a pretty decent game to boot. Air Guys. An okay fighting game that's more well known for having Final Fantasy VII characters implemented into it. Well, it is a Square game, gotta give it some kind of publicity. Anyway, open this up. There is the game disc, manual's in great shape and includes the registration card, and that's about it. The minigames are pretty cool in here as well. A complete copy of this game runs around $60 as of recording time, so it's not too bad. Bushido Blade. A very quick-paced fighting game where one critical blow means game over. It really is that fast. Open it up, there is the game disc, the manual's okay, though it doesn't have the registration card like most other Square games I have, though I'm not sure if it ever had one at all. Overall, it's actually a pretty good game that's a shame it never really took off apart from 2 games. And sadly I don't have the second one, but it shouldn't be that hard to find considering both of them are about $40 maximum. Legend of Mana. It's been a while since I actually played this game, so I don't remember much of it apart from it being pretty non-linear, and I thought that was pretty cool. I'll go ahead and open it up here. There is the game disc. The manual looks okay, but the staples are rusted, which is kind of a problem. The registration card, however, is in there. And, yeah, that's about it. I also have the strategy guide for this one. Let's take a look at that. Here is the strategy guide, which looks very nice, apart from some minor edge wear right around the, just the edges of the pages and a little nick right here. The spine itself is fully intact without any damage, apart from some usual wear, and all the pages actually look really good. A very nice looking guide for this game. Threads of Fate. A decent action RPG that gave me quite a bit of trouble getting my hands on, largely because it took 8 separate attempts just to find one with a freaking manual. And when I found this copy, I pulled no punches, I got it in my hands. Open it up, there is the nice ice blue disc, the manual's in good shape and has the registration card, and overall, an alright copy. Complete copy of this game runs around $75 as of recording time. Brave Fencer Musashi. For quite a while, this was my personal favorite game, but as I expanded my boundaries, I found more interesting stuff. Yet it remains one of my personal favorites on the PlayStation, much so that I actually played it for the channel. Go ahead and open this up. There is the game disc and the instruction manual, which has the registration card and is in excellent shape. And right behind that is the Collector's CD Volume 2, which was the trial version of Final Fantasy VIII. It is pretty nice to have that. But overall, I'm happy I still have this game. A complete copy runs around $100 as of recording time, but you can easily see it around $120 as well. It's definitely one of the more expensive Squaresoft games. Mega Man 8. A series that needs little explanation. It's the 8th game in the classic series, and probably the easiest one to get your hands on. Well, that or 3 on the NES, take your choice. Go ahead and open it up. There is the game disc, simple as it gets. The manual is a bit rough, but this copy is fairly rough too. This game there's not much to write home about, though there is a Sega Saturn version, but that one is infamously expensive. So you might want to just go for the PlayStation one instead. Mega Man X4. This one's pretty much in the same boat as Mega Man 8, a well-known game that really doesn't need much explanation, and also has a pretty expensive Sega Saturn version. Go ahead and open this up. There is the disc. Manual's in good shape. It does have the registration card inside, and overall, a much better looking copy than my copy of Mega Man 8. Mega Man X5. Believe it or not, this was my first Mega Man X game. Despite that, I didn't really play it too much, as I was just exploring other things as my collection was growing. I'll go ahead and open this up here. There is the game disc, there is the manual, which has a bit of fading on that little spot right there, but other than that, it's just the usual wear, not much else. It's a pretty decent game for what it is, especially since this was supposed to be the original ending to the series. Mega Man X6. I mainly got this one since I had Mega Man X4 and X5, and this was the last one I needed on the PlayStation. I did try to play through it, but never attempted to actually finish it. I'll go ahead and open it up here. There is the game disc, there is the manual, which has some fading on that side here, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And, I mean, it's okay, but again, I mostly got it because I got the other games. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Seeing this at first just seemed very weird, yet I actually liked it. You're trying to build gems big enough that you make a massive combo against your opponent to take them out. So, that's kind of what it is. There is the game disc, which looks pretty good. Manual's fine, and overall, a real interesting game if you can find it. It's also available on the Sega Saturn, but naturally is going to be a bit pricey. Street Fighter EX2 Plus. Street Fighter needs no explanation, but the EX series was when the franchise was starting to dip its toes into 3D water. It's a decent game for what it is. Open the sucker up. There is the game disc, there is the manual, which has a bit of fading right on that side there, and does have the registration card, so that's all good. A complete copy of EX2 Plus is currently sitting around $80 as I record this, so not a real cheap one, but if you can find it, try to get it. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. For whatever reason, I have a really hard time finding any of the Capcom games with the Fighter's Edge moniker. I only found this last March, and I spent a long time actually trying to find it, so I am happy I was able to get it. There is the game disc, the manual looks pretty good and does have the registration card. A complete copy of this game runs at least $100, currently around $120 as I record this, though the Sega Saturn version does have some bonus stuff if you have the RAM cartridge, but I've got the PlayStation version, and if I can get X-Men vs. Street Fighter to pair with it, that'd be pretty cool too, even if it isn't that great compared to the Sega Saturn version. Rival Schools. This game was exceptionally hard to track down, much less complete, so it ended up becoming an online order as a result. I made sure that it had everything complete, because more often than not, it's either missing the manual or one of the discs. There's disc 1 right there. There's the manual, which does have the registration card. And back here is disc 2. A complete copy of this game runs at least $100 and is currently running around $120 as I record this. It's not an easy game to go after, and if you can find it complete, you might want to poach it. Breath of Fire 3. This was the first Breath of Fire game I played, back when I was just hunting for stuff on the PlayStation. I ended up completing the game twice and enjoyed it both times. It's a really good game. Open this thing up, there is the game disc. The manual has some fading, as you can see right near Mega Man, but it does have the registration card, and that's pretty good. A complete copy of this game runs around $60, so it's not too expensive, especially for a game like this, and if you haven't seen it, you might want to check it out. Breath of Fire 4. Unlike 3, I only completed this game once. However, I enjoyed it just as much as I did 3, and that's the important part. Open this up. There is the game disc and the manual, which has some wear on the spine as you kind of notice, and unfortunately no registration card this time. It is what it is. A complete copy of this game used to be right on par with Breath of Fire 3, but eventually pulled away and is currently sitting around $100 as I record this. It is a bit pricey, but still a very good game. If you like 3, you definitely want to look at 4. Metal Gear Solid. One of the PlayStation's best-known games, it doesn't need an introduction. Although I will say I never really played this version of the game. I did the Twin Snakes on GameCube instead. There was a reason, though. This copy of mine is apparently so pristine it may as well have kept the shrink wrap on, which I probably would have preferred at this point. Right here, there's disc 1 and a very clean manual. No flaws whatsoever, not even on the spine. And there's disc 2. I cannot stress enough how clean this copy looks. It's so good. Alongside that, I've got a strategy guide for it too, though it's actually marked unauthorized game secrets rather than an official guide. It looks nowhere near as good as my game copy. As you see, there's a bunch of stuff that's wrong with the front, and of course the back is, it's okay, and there's a little bit of spine damage right there. All the pages are pretty good though, but hey, it's nice to have a guide with a pretty awesome game. Vandal Hearts. This is effectively Konami's answer to Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. Unfortunately, I never did get to finish this game, which is kind of a shame, as I was interested in it and just stuff got ahead of me. It is what it is. There is the manual, which is pretty thick, which required this multi-disc case for a freaking single disc, which, speaking of, there it is. A complete copy of this game currently runs around $50 to $60 as I record this, so it's not too expensive for a PlayStation game, and for one that's actually somewhat decent. Azure Dreams. This is a dungeon crawler where you have two main goals: climb a randomly generating tower, as well as build a town that's connected to it. It's a pretty cool concept, and I did enjoy the game. Open this up, there is the game disc. Manual looks pretty good as well. A complete copy of this game generally runs around $100 as I'm recording this. And surprisingly, this game is also available on the Game Boy Color, which sounds pretty weird, but it is a neat concept. Unfortunately, I've never seen that version, but I've got the PlayStation version, so I don't think I'm losing out on much. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. As perhaps the best-known Castlevania game in the entire series, this basically tells itself, though it being Black Label is certainly awesome. Go ahead and open it. There is the black and yellow game disc, which looks awesome. The manual looks excellent. The overall copy looks excellent. As of recording time, a complete copy of the Black Label version sits at about $150, though the Greatest Hits version is much cheaper at just $100. Still, a pretty penny for a pretty popular game, but I'd say it's worth it because it is excellent. Castlevania Chronicles. Now this Castlevania does need some explaining. What this is essentially a conversion of the first Castlevania game, which most would know from its NES release. Not so much its arcade original, which is what this is. This game is also far harder to find than Symphony of the Night from my experience, so if you manage to find this game, you might want to try to get it. I'll go ahead and open it here. There is the game disc, there is the manual, which is kind of funny that Dance Dance Revolution is what's the ad banner for this freaking game. It is what it is, though. A complete copy of this game is currently running around $150 as I'm recording this, though it could go much higher than that because of how hard it is to get this game. Silent Hill. I'm not sure what to think about this game. I'm not too big on horror games, so I don't have very many of them, but it's kind of surprising that the entire Silent Hill series exploded the way it did, including the first game. The only real fault with this copy is you can kind of see it with the manual under that second L. There's a little puncture right there, but that's really the only fault with this copy. Open this thing. There is the grayscale disc, looks very good. Backside of the manual looks pretty good with very little wear, and overall, a really good copy. A complete copy of this game right now is currently fetching about $180 as I record this, though I could very easily see this thing hit $200 because of how it's going. Though this isn't the only thing I have, I also managed to have the Primus strategy guide for this sucker. Here's a strategy guide for Silent Hill, which looks about as good as my game copy, though there are a few flaws, mainly just a few marks like right here, and a little tiny mark right on the very top of the spine. Backside here has got a little mark right about here, but other than that, it looks absolutely fantastic. So a nice looking guide for a nice looking game that's pretty pricey. Can't go wrong with that duo. Suikoden. This is a game I definitely enjoyed playing through the first time, and was my first Suikoden game. I actually did consider playing this game for the channel, but I had some early troubles, and as a result, it's currently on hold until I figure something out. Go ahead and open this thing. There is the instruction manual, which, thank you, focus. Looks pretty good. Go ahead and open this side. There is the black disc, and that's about it. A complete copy of this game is currently running around $60 as I'm recording this, so it's not too big, and if you're interested in going into Suikoden, you definitely want to start with this first game. Suikoden 2. This game is one of the most well-known treasures of the PlayStation, and long been one of its most expensive games, commanding over $100 for a very long time. As I'm recording this, it's currently sitting a good chunk over $200. This game holds the record as the most expensive game I ever bought online at $128. Keep in mind, I haven't actually made an online order since the end of 2016. Yes, it was a good chunk of change for this game, but it wasn't just the game I paid for. Rather, it was part of a rather unusual bundle which contained this extra thing called Horizonte. Now, what the hell is this thing? What this is actually an unofficial soundtrack containing some music from Suikoden 2. Matter of fact, if I just flip it right here, if I can get this thing to focus, it actually does say Genso Suikoden 2. There it is. See that? Looks pretty cool. So yeah, I got this as part of a bonus with this game, and it's always neat to see cool stuff like that. Of course, I did beat the game, but as you can see, this copy is certainly a bit rough, and it did affect me a little bit, especially towards the end of the game with the major battles, where some of them actually crashed on me. Still, I waded my way through and completed the game, and I will say it was certainly worth it despite the adversity. There is the game disc. The manual's back is just as rough as the front. It is what it is. I am real happy I got this game, though I still recommend the first game not only because it's cheaper, but because it plays very similar to this game. Tales of Destiny. This game's been on the back burner for a while. I did try the disc out for a couple minutes to make sure things were fine, though playing it, I got a lot to learn. For the record, my first Tales game was Symphonia, so playing an earlier game means it's going to be a bit weird. Open this up, there is the manual, which as you notice, there is a pretty significant fold right here that was a lot worse when I actually got this game. A good chunk of pressure on it allowed it to be a bit flat, but still has some issues. The registration card is inside the manual. And right here is the game disc, because that manual's too big to have a freaking single disc jewel case, but it is what it is. A complete copy of this game is currently running around $140 as I'm recording this, and it used to be up as high as $200, but a significant cooldown makes it a little bit more manageable. Tomba. A fun and colorful little platformer that unfortunately I never got to finish, despite making a good chunk of progress. Stuff happens. Go ahead and open this up here. There is the game disc, and there is the manual, with a little bit of damage on that bottom corner as you might see, but other than that, no real serious flaws. This game has always been one of the more expensive games on the PlayStation, and currently it's sitting at around $140 to $150 complete. Tomba 2. This game changes to the 2.5D style gameplay, and I actually did finish this one. How I didn't beat the first Tomba, despite beating 2, is just on me. Anyway, open this up. This copy is a bit rough, but it does play and does everything that it should, and that's the important part. This game is usually worth a little less than the first Tomba, but still pretty pricey. Currently, it's sitting at about $125 to $130 complete. Grandia. This is one I haven't played too much, though it has the excuse of, like Metal Gear Solid, the contents of this game are very clean, minus that one crack on the jewel case and one on the back side. Open this up here. There's disc 1 and the manual, both of which are very clean. Disc 2 right here is absolutely spotless. And yeah, that's the big reason why I haven't really tried it. A complete copy of this game is currently running around $60, and I am considering playing the game for the channel, but it will be a little while before I actually do so. Dragon Seeds. This is a weird one to explain. You're basically creating genetic dragons, training them up, and sending them into an arena to do turn-based combat with other dragons. It's a pretty neat concept, honestly. There is the game disc and the manual. It's an okay-looking copy apart from the front being pretty cracked. A complete copy of this game is currently running around $60, but this is a very tough game to find as I haven't seen it in a very long time. But just because it is a rarity doesn't mean it's going to command a crap load of money, and this is a great example of that. R-Types. This game is a compilation of the first two R-Types along with some extras, and in turn was how I first played those two games. Go ahead and open it up. There is the game disc and the manual. A complete copy of this game isn't too expensive, only about $40 complete as of recording time, but the big reason to get this is because this was the first time that R-Type 2 was released in its original arcade form without any modifications whatsoever. R-Type Delta. You may notice there's a crease that goes all the way through the middle of the manual, and this goes all the way to the back page as well. It did help in getting this game for ridiculously cheap. Despite that, this is my personal favorite R-Type game, because alongside the R9, there's two other ships to make the game more interesting, and I like the transition to 3D. Open this thing up here. There is the game disc and the manual. You can kind of notice the crease right here as well. It is what it is. This game is a very difficult game to find for the PlayStation though, and if you do find it, expect at least $200 complete. It's not an easy game to find, it's not an easy game to buy, but it's so worth it because it's a really good R-Type game. Galarians. This is my only other 3-disc game, and a pretty cool survival horror game that has one glaring flaw, unfortunately. This game claims to have over 50 hours of gameplay, yet I completed this game 100% at just a little over 8. That's a bit embarrassing, especially so when Disc 1 is only 2 stages long. There's the manual, which looks pretty decent, and both Discs 2 and 3 here are only a single stage each. Yes, 3 discs, but 4 stages in total. Seriously? A complete copy of this game is currently fetching about $80, and again, it is a decent game, but it's incredibly short for what it is, and that's really unfortunate. Diablo. Diablo is mostly a well-known PC series, though finding the first game on the PlayStation always comes as a bit bizarre. Unfortunately, this is the worst-looking PlayStation game I have, but the biggest reason why I kept it is because it's a notably very tough game to find. Open it up here, and yeah, you can see the damage. Some teeth are missing with the disc, though it still stays firm. And the manual, those holders often go in through the cover page, and I tried my hardest to keep them out. A complete copy of this game, if you can find it, is borderline $100 as I record this. And if I can find a cleaner copy, I'd love to replace this one. Clock Tower. This is actually the second Clock Tower game, with the first one being exclusive to the Super Famicom in Japan. Go ahead and open it here. There is the game disc and the manual, which includes the registration card, and overall looks pretty good. A complete copy of this game is currently going around $160 to $175 and is by no means an easy game to find, nor is the second game, which is one of the most expensive on the system. Shadow Tower. A first-person RPG that is tough as nails, both in terms of gameplay and trying to find a copy. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this game existed until shortly before I found this game and got it. Go ahead and open it here. There is the game disc and the manual, which does include a registration card and has no wear whatsoever, which is very nice. This game has become one of the most expensive games in my entire collection, with complete copies currently being around $300. It's a case where it's just done nothing but slowly climb over time and hasn't had a drop recently. Thousand Arms. I actually kind of like this game. It's mostly a turn-based RPG, but a good chunk of it involves a dating simulator, and I had quite a few laughs at some parts of the game. Now, it's supposed to come with a 3D hologram card as well as some memory card stickers. Unfortunately, I don't have the card, and as you can see, there is one of the stickers just plastered on top of Mice's face, which is a little funny. I've got 2 more on the back covering some cracks. Go ahead and open it here. There is the first disc and the manual, which does include the registration card. Move this back here. There is disc 2. And, yeah, that's about it. By the way, there's the 2 other memory card stickers. The only one I'm missing is of Mice. I got it this way. A complete copy of this game usually runs around $140, but if you have the card and the stickers in an actual sheet rather than just plastered like this, I could see it hitting $150 to $160. Persona. Much like Suikoden 2, this game has always been very expensive. As of this recording, it's the third most expensive game in my collection, with the disc alone being $150 and completes being around $350, often dancing around $400. The game does have its flaws though, much so that I prefer the PSP re-release if you want to play the first game. I just have the original because, number one, I had a great chance to get it despite being $100 at the time, and number two, my track record with getting handheld games has always been pretty crappy. I'll go ahead and open this here. There is the manual, which is a bit worn. You can see some waves on the front page and a little wear on the PlayStation logo, but it's still a decent looking manual. Go ahead and open that, and there's the game disc, which I haven't touched very much because it's a fairly clean one, and I was always wary about scratching it. And, yeah, a pretty nice copy of this game overall, and I am glad I was able to get it before the thing exploded as much as it did. Vanguard Bandits. I look at this game as a combination of Xenogears and Final Fantasy Tactics. Xenogears because of all the huge mecha, and Final Fantasy Tactics because of its gameplay style. This is my only incomplete PlayStation game, as there's 2 discs in here, yet only one is available. That being the actual game disc, since it is a 1-disc game. I've also got the manual, which is unfortunately rougher than it looks. But just flip this here, you can kind of see that it looks like there was a rental sticker right near that robot's legs, and there's a bunch of foil damage there, as well as up top. So what's supposed to be back here? Well, this is actually a place for a Lunar 2 demo CD, which obviously I still don't have. I had just the case and the game disc found, and I kind of forced my hand into getting it, knowing that Vanguard Bandits only took 1 disc to play. I found the manual later on, and this is the position that it's in. If I find the disc, it'd be pretty nice, but it's a demo CD. Is it really that big a concern? Not to me. If it is complete, though, a complete copy is currently running around $225, so it is one of the more expensive Working Designs games. Thunder Force 5. At one point I had just the disc of this game, but later found this complete copy to replace it. As a result, my last loose PlayStation game finally got cased. It's also my only Working Designs game with a Spaz label, but then again there weren't that many of them. Open this up. There is the disc and the nice shiny foily manual. I know there's an alternate art of this disc, but I've never seen it. This and the copy I had previously were the only ones I've seen. A complete copy of this game is currently running around 100 plus, and it being Working Designs, I could see it hitting 120. Elemental Gearbolt. This is my only light gun accessible PlayStation game, though the regular controller works fine, and quite frankly, I have no light guns for any of my systems, so it's kind of a moot point to me. Open this up, there is the nice foily manual, which is in excellent shape, only some foil wear on the edges of the pages, and that's about it. Also, this one little nick here that you can see with the, yeah, that's the only real fault with this manual, but otherwise it looks amazing. And there is the game disc, which is the Nell disc. I have seen the CNOT disc, but if I remember right, Nell had a bit of a premium. If not, they're completely equal right now. A complete copy of this game is currently going for around $225, though it can very easily hit $250 and seems to be trending towards that mark again. Alundra. This game is a spiritual successor to Landstalker on the Sega Genesis, which I do have. This game, however, is awesome. Much so that I'm considering playing it for the channel sometime this year. Open it up, there is the game's manual, and inside this manual is actually the map, which I have in there on purpose to protect it from damage. And on the back side here is the game disc, which I should note Alundra has 9 separate game disc variants. This one is Type C, as well as 6 different back arts. This one's the town square and the most common one of them all. Despite that, they are all the same game, it's just what Working Designs does. A complete copy of this game generally running around $140 as of current, and if you have the map, it can fetch an even bigger premium than that. Speaking of that map, let's take a look at it in full. Here is the paper map, which is in very good shape, mainly because I put it in my freaking manual to protect it from damage. This side here is basically the entire region, and right this red square is actually a focused point of the backside, which is Inoa Village in full, and just shows where everybody lives in the village. A pretty neat little thing, but it's not a common sight with the Alundra game. Alundra 2. Holy jewel case cracks, Batman, they're literally everywhere. Anyway, this game is a complete outlier that I have tried to play through, but a lot of pushbacks kept me from ever doing so, though I am interested in still trying to finish it. Go ahead and open this for the manual. It does have a registration card, and there's a crack inside this thing. How the heck do you even do that? And there is the game disc, which is the only part of this entire jewel case that isn't cracked, and that's about it. This game is a sequel to Alundra in name only, and a complete copy is only like $30. Lunar Silver Star Story complete. Finally, one of Working Designs' big box games. This front here is actually a flap, where if you just open it, you can see what was supposed to be in the back of the jewel case, and the flap itself detailing what's inside the box. Speaking of the box, it's definitely worn. Edgeware is pretty much everywhere. But it is an outside box, and that's what's important because having everything loose is kind of annoying. It is pretty cool that the hang tab's still available in this box though, and that's not something I don't see very often. Inside looks better than the outside though, featuring a still sealed cloth map, which I'm not going to remove, sorry. This is all you're going to be seeing of this map. But I do still have it, and that's cool. The leather-bound instruction manual, which is a whopping 120 pages thick. Yes, you heard that right. It is big. The fact that it looks pretty good is pretty nice as well. And of course, you've got the jewel case, which is a whopping 4 discs thick. I'll go ahead and open it up right now. The front side features both the game discs for the game, and the back side covers the making of Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, as well as the game's soundtrack, which is not in the standard PlayStation format. It's actually a regular CD. And yeah, a pretty cool set overall, and it does look pretty clean minus the outside box. A complete copy of this thing is about $100 at minimum, and could see a little more than that just because it's a big box. But I'm not finished yet, because I've actually got a guide for this game. While this may not be Working Designs' official strategy guide, it's still a guide nonetheless, being Primus. There are some scratches on the top of this front page, as you can see kind of some white spots there, that's actually from the cuts, and a little damage on the spine right at the bottom, but otherwise it's a rather clean copy, and the pages are very clean as well. A decent looking guide that just has a few flaws and not much else. Arc the Lad Collection. This is effectively a compilation of 4 games in one really big box, and the box itself looks pretty good with one real problem. The bottom's got some damage. Well, it's not too noticeable right now, that whole thing flaps under it. Yikes. Other than that, the other sides look pretty good, minus some damage right here on this corner. And overall, for a box this size, it's quite nice, especially compared to Lunar. There's a lot to discuss regarding the inside, so I'll be cutting each piece rather than doing it all in one take, starting with the leather-bound booklet, which, if you thought Lunar's 120 pages was thick, this one here is 152. While it does have the excuse of covering 4 games, it's still the biggest manual you'll ever see. Next is the Omaki box, which I'm just going to go ahead and open right here. There we are. I still have the paper protector for this thing, which is pretty cool. But inside here are 3 items. A memory card protector featuring one of the characters of the game, 4 thumbstick covers, which in my case has 3 characters and the Arc the Lad Collection logo, and finally the Arc the Lad 3 standees, which are still shrink wrapped. Oftentimes this is either missing or just the standees are scattered all over the place, which makes quite a mess. So it's nice that they're still shrink wrapped and everything's nice and clean as a result. And of course you got the jewel case itself, which features not 5, but 6 discs, which is pretty big. Open this thing up, and you can see how it actually works. It's got this little flap. There's Arc the Lad. Flip this thing over. There's Arc the Lad 2 and Arc Arena. Go on to the back side, and you've got both discs for Arc the Lad 3. Yes, Arc the Lad 3 is a 2-disc game. And finally, the making of Arc the Lad, which is just hiding in the back as the 6th bonus disc. And, yeah, pretty cool stuff. This whole thing combined is currently running around $150 as of recording time, though depending on the condition, it could fetch a little bit more. Still, a really big box for a really big set of stuff, and that's pretty cool to see. Tekken. First of my long box PlayStation games, Tekken needs no explanation. It's a series still alive and strong with the recent release of Tekken 8. It's good to hear that it's doing very well for itself. Go ahead and open this here. There is the flat red disc. There's raging eyes for a back cover of the instruction manual. The registration card is still in it, and overall looks pretty good. A complete copy of the long box version is currently sitting at around $60. XCOM UFO Defense. Don't have too much to say here. It's a real-time strategy game that's known for its difficulty and permadeath, and that's really about it. Open this thing up. There is the disc and the foam, which is quite nice to have. There is the manual, which does have a registration card, and that's about it. A complete copy of the long box version of this game currently sits at about $50. Discworld. Obviously based off the Terry Pratchett novels, this game follows Rincewind the Wizard in a point-and-click adventure. I'm not too big on point-and-click games, but I did keep this around because it always seemed pretty interesting. Go ahead and try to open this up here without issue. These boxes are kind of annoying. There is the disc and there is the manual. Somebody put a bunch of stickers on this copy, so they are literally everywhere. Though if you can see the back, it does look pretty cool, to be completely honest. It's just a shame these things are so fragile. A complete copy of the long box version of this game is currently sitting at around $70. Starblade Alpha. This game has had a wild market trajectory. For a long time, getting a solid price on this game was non-existent. You could find a complete copy for about $30, you could find it for $150. Fortunately, I was lucky to get this copy for just 30 Canadian dollars, making this my only online purchase to come out of Canada. Now, it's the second most expensive game in my collection and was the record holder until I got Mega Man on the NES a month ago. Currently, it sits at about $500 as of recording time. Of course, I had a bit of foresight making that purchase, because if this game was going to be hard to find even online, it would have been borderline impossible to find in the wild. And sure enough, I would find just a single disc just a couple months after this copy landed in my hands, and I have not seen it since. That was a long time ago, too. As a result, I would consider this game to be my rarest game in the entire collection because of how difficult it is to get, and it is notably the rarest long box PlayStation game. Admittedly, this copy isn't in the best of shape, but for something this fragile, I've certainly done my best. You can see some fading on the bottom, and there's a little damage on that bottom right corner, but nothing too serious. All the sides do have some wear, most notably this side right here. Yeah, that's pretty rough. This is harder to open than Discworld, so I'm going to make a cut to do it off camera. There's the inside with the disc and manual. That manual has the registration card, and that disc looks pretty good. The game itself is just a remake of the original Starblade from the arcade, which got a port on the Sega CD and the 3DO. And I'd recommend just going after the Sega CD version if you want to play this game. And that is my entire PlayStation collection as of this video's upload date. Boy, what a trip that was. And we're not done yet because I still have my top 5 targets to cover for the original PlayStation, and they're pretty good in their own right. My top priority for the PlayStation was a tough choice to make, but ultimately my choice was Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete. Put simply, this was the last big box Working Designs game I had yet to get on the PlayStation, and though I have seen it several times, I just never pulled the trigger. I will get it, but hopefully it won't cost me too much to do so. My second priority was initially Crash Bandicoot when I started recording these things. However, since I got it, it's now moved up to Xenogears as my second choice. This was a game I previously had in my collection and had to trade it off at some point. I'd like to be able to get it again as it was a pretty awesome game that I'd love to play for the channel. My third priority goes to Einhander. Square making a shoot 'em up just sounds really weird, but personally I consider it to be the rarest Squaresoft game, as I don't find it very often, I haven't seen it complete in a very long time, and if I do find it complete, I'm going to try my hardest to snag it because it interests me, and I'd love to have it in my hands. Fourth on that list goes to Tactics Ogre. I've heard a lot about this game, I've heard many good things about it, yet I've never had the opportunity to actually play the game, though I have seen it a couple times, so I don't think I'll have too much trouble getting it. I never got to pull the trigger. I'm not completely foreign to Tactics Ogre though, since I've got the Knight of Lotus on Game Boy Advance, and that was personally a pretty awesome game. And rounding out the top 5 goes to Legend of Legaia. This was also a game I had previously in my collection, but unfortunately my copy was in such bad shape that despite a disc resurface, I couldn't even get past the second cutscene because it kept freezing at that section. It was a bit of a bummer, especially since I liked the concept of the game, so hopefully I'll find a working copy and have it back in my collection pretty soon. Of course, there's a lot of other games I'm interested in getting for the system, but I'll find them when I do. The 5 games I mentioned were mainly for special reasons, and while my library had been in decline over the past couple years, I am hoping to rebuild it back up to its former glory. And after a very long run, we're finally here at the end. If you like what you saw, feel free to drop a like. If you're interested in seeing how I update the PlayStation collection as well as my other game libraries, hit that subscribe button. But until then, I want to thank you for watching this marathon of a video, and I'll see you next time.